got indoctrinated pretty quickly, right? So then how did you go from being the kind of the coffee boy in that case to Bruno saying, hey, come watch my shop? Walk us through kind of that transition.
I think it was a couple of things. I think at the time he really didn't have really nobody else because everybody took pinches and everything. And secondly, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, maybe other people won't tell you, but I did a good job. I stayed on top of it. I did a good job. I had responsibility for a lot of things. We had probably at one time over 100 customers, and that's crazy to call one or two people. And at the time we didn't have the overseas number in Costa Rica. We were doing the number. We were faxing it, making sure it getting past post. People weren't robbing us with lines. It was hard. It was really hard. But the only thing is that's funny about the whole thing is Anthony Arillotta was our own best customer. So at one point he was partners with Bruno in the book, but he was our best customer. You understand what I'm saying? He shouldn't have been betting the office, but he was, and we got a lot of flack for that.
Got it. All right. So I think Anthony's here. Oh, that's really Anthony. Hello, Anthony. So that's pretty cool. All right. So now give us your first assignment. Okay. Clean up. I get it. Right. But I like the machinations. I like the details. What did you have to do? Like,
I got a couple stories. Maybe you can learn. I mean, I could tell you a couple stories.
That's why we're here.
All right. So Bruno was just a bookmaking thing. Violence. Bruno. I never did nothing for Bruno with violence. It was always bookmaking. Go to his house on Sundays, eat dinner.
Really quick. And I'm gonna, not that you, who the hell am I? Not that you.
No, whatever you want to ask.
But like I watch, you're more of a bounce around guy. You pop on some shows, you share some stories, you have some fun, you have a good laugh. You've been a guest on some shows that I watched. But I think it's fair to say I don't think you've ever claimed to be like a tough guy.
Never.
Or Mr. Knockaround guy. You're like, listen, I did book, maybe some stories here and there, but it's for the most part, I don't have you pegged as like, being like a jerk in that sense. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, okay. So keep going with the story. Sorry.
All right, let me explain a couple of stories. First of all, I was never like, well, listen, let me tell you this. I never said no. And you can check with Anthony. There was times where, let me give you one example. There was times where a guy in West Springfield, Mass owned a cigar shop. Okay. And he changed the tire or fixed the car. I don't know exactly what it was with somebody in Anthony's family. I don't know who it was, but he changed. Now, Anthony used to go in there and buy cigars every day. He was in there like a daily fixture.
Yeah.
And this guy changed the tire or fixed a car of a female person in his family. And what the weird part is Anthony would go in there every day. And the guy, and at the time, Anthony was, it is what it is. He was a serious guy, as far as in that life. And the kid Anthony went in there for like 4 or 5 days, and the kid never told Anthony, like, Tom, if your wife had a flat and I knew you good and I changed your tire, if I see you tomorrow, I'm going to say, Tom, I changed your wife's tire. I'm not saying wife, but anybody, your family. And the kid never would say to Anthony, hey, I did this for your sister or whoever it was. And it pissed him off, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
So myself, another kid who I won't mention, and Anthony went in the kid's cigar shop.
Yeah.
And thank God it was a long time ago. It was a lot more than 5 years ago. But anyways, the kid got a good beat and got computer smashed over his head. And he happened to get out on time. He hit the door and went out. And the word went on the street, basically, and I'm just being honest, Anthony put a word on the street. Listen, tell the kid to move away and sell his joint. And needless to say, later on in life, the kid sold the joint and moved away. So I'm just saying what's right is right. I'll admit what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. I'll say what's wrong, but it is what it is. I'm just being honest.
It's easier to back up that story. So it's really kind of cool to share a story and have it backed up real time because, in the space, unfortunately.
And I got another great story I never put on YouTube. I'll tell you too when you're ready.
Let's drop it here while we're at it. Now, just real quick, we're broadcasting on the Armchair MBA. We have about 56 people there, but we're also broadcasting on Mobsters Inc. And Mobsters Inc. Has 284 people watching. It's a lot of international crowd. It's actually a UK-based account. So it's pretty cool. So we have 344. And we also have Twitter stream as well. So we have a total of 344 people watching, which is